This is Hardy Brute with another run of Merge Maestro. This video comes after the last sports video, where we played with the brown randomized board. After playing that game, we unlocked the Evil difficulty, which is the highest level difficulty. At the start of the game, the enemies get a new adaptation. We also unlocked the teal board and the food deck, so let's check it out. The random adaptation we got is the Swarm. Every third enemy also has a fly. I would like to do a food build, and the cat is perfect for that. He appears and does 1 damage, but he does 1 more damage for every food you've eaten throughout the run. So he's a hungry Mr. Whiskers. The food deck adds 3 new ingredients to the mix. The steak, potato, broccoli, you can't eat them on their own, but you can combine them together, or combine them with the fruit to create all sorts of new dishes with new effects. The pool of combinations is very, very large. We're playing on the teal board, which gives us the special ability that at the end of the wave, it'll transform one of our ingredients, consumable dishes, into a different consumable. That effect is going to be fantastic for our cat, who just wants to eat a variety of dishes. And getting some more fruit, some more food generation tokens, will help scale up our cat all on our own. So it's not going to be surprising if we get our cat above 10, but I don't think our cat's actually going to be the carry. He's going to help us out a lot early on though. The sunflowers from nature, the bike and mobile phone are from the city, but neither one of those actually generate tokens, so let's roll here. We did find the dog. Creates 2 potatoes. That's a lot of potatoes. The teal board also transformed our potato into a strawberry, and a golden strawberry at that. And let's just eat the strawberry directly to buff our cat as well. So now he should be doing 2 damage whenever he appears instead of just the 1. To be honest, I feel like the cat is a bit lackluster, but only because it's a level 4 token. If it was a level 3, or if it scaled +2 per consumption, I would actually be very happy with it. But the fact that we only have 4 moves a turn, and we have to combine the 2 ingredients and then feed the cat or feed ourselves, that's half our turns right there, just to scale 1 damage. But I'm still excited to see how high we can get the cat. We created something new by combining 2 potatoes. It's the chips that buffs a token by 4, but let's create a cat first to take care of the lizards, and then eat the chips. The chips aren't actually going to buff the cat's attack because he's already made his 1 attack, but it will buff all future cats that appear, increasing their damage from 2 to 3. So the baseball is from sports, the telephone and the bell are from the home, and at this point we've seen a card from each one of our sets, so we know the fruit isn't actually part of them. But I'm not too concerned about that. Let's also take the bell. He attacks once 3 times, and he might actually benefit from the buff effects. The teal board gave us the banana bread. It buffs 0, but buffs by an additional 8 for each banana we have. And that is very similar to the banana itself, which scales off of other bananas. So it's probably a combination of the potato and the banana. But now our cat will attack for 4 when he appears. The big reason I'm not concerned that we don't have access to the fruit deck, because we don't actually have the space for both of them at the same time. The potatoes are already taking over our board. The teal is also doing a good job of giving us a random assortment of things to feed our picky cat. We need some other food tokens, some other food generations. At the moment, the 2 potatoes and the chips don't really benefit us too much. The buff effect is pretty strong at 4, but it's completely wasted on our current tokens, who all have a pure effect attacks. And it looks like we got some sushi. A rainbow eagle. When he appears, he destroys the adjacent tokens, creating a steak for each. Well, that sounds pretty awesome. But he's going to replace Mr. Whiskers, so I don't think we can use him. That is so sad. We got a rainbow robin. Appears and buffs the Q token by 8, improved for each consumable. It's basically a buffing version of the cat, but only for token number 1. It's only going to buff the Q token, so that includes 1 or 2, and at first I thought it could help us with token number 3, but even if it could have, we'd still have to replace our dog down here, and he's our only way to create food right now. So unfortunately we had to turn down both of those rainbows. The teal board gave us a bento. We can level up a token, and if we use it on a number 8, we can get a number 9. And the level 9 tokens are OP. But I think I'm going to use the bento early to buff the cat. And there's a reason for that, because as soon as we have access to the broccoli and the steak, I think if you combine those two, you can make your own bento. So we'll get that back eventually. Another nice thing about the ingredients is that when you click them, it'll actually show you what you can create with the things you have available. When we had access to the golden strawberry earlier, it didn't actually show us any combinations, but the only thing we could have combined it with is the potato. So that sort of makes sense. Although with the regular strawberry, perhaps that one would combine, creating something like jam and toast, because a lot of times the potato is used as a substitute for the breads and the grains. But there are less combinations than you think there might be. There's not thousands upon thousands, but there are some secret and powerful ones. Let's actually buff our number 1 token here. And I think this is going to be the best outlet for our french fries, buffing our number 1. Because now it did 9 damage instead of just 1. So we should definitely replace our number 1 with a better token. We got the black cat, replaces your level 4 with the black cat, and everything you eat is now a unique consumable. Well, our cat is already up to 5, and I'm not sure we actually need this help here. The swimmer, when you practice a sport, practice another one as well. That's decent. But I think the buffalo is the best. After 2 turns, create a random ingredient, so that includes a steak, a broccoli, or a potato. We got the hatchling, which I think is very, very good. When it consumes a dish, level it up twice. It would give us a bunch of level 5 tokens, but we don't have easy access to broccoli or steak, so I'd rather have something that produces those. We did find the zebra though. At the end of the turn, consume an adjacent combinable or a consumable, and level a lower level token for each one consumed. It's gonna give us a bunch of level 6s instead of level 5s, and it's much easier to use. You can also trigger up to 4 times per zebra, and it's much better than the hatchling. Once again, the teal board transformed into sake. Create a copy of the token. That's actually very, very nice. We can also transform juice boxes into wine. And now we've got 2 zebras to eat all the potatoes, because we've got a potato problem. But that also means that the dog goes very, very well with the zebra. The zebra just wants to eat everything. The cat just wants a specific type of food. And the dog, he just loves potatoes. Our cat is now up to 6 damage. And our build is looking pretty good to make level 9 tokens, if we can get some steak and broccoli down the line. But as of right now, we've just got a bunch of zebras. But the level ups do trigger the appear effect and the damage from the cat and the bell, so it actually synergizes on another level as well. The buffalo actually gave us our first broccoli, which gives us 2 options. A consumable that can transform into the Q token, a 1 or 2, or given a token +1 multi-strike and all strike. Both of those don't do anything for our build, so I created the multi-strike and just gave it to the zebra. And the zebra didn't actually level anything up, so it's only when the zebra eats something himself that he'll trigger his ability. But it did increase the cat's attack to 7. We still need a proper damage outlet though for the later levels. Taking out an enemy with 300 HP is going to be pretty hard, especially with a cat that only does around 10 damage. And we got a steak finally, and the zebra ate it immediately. Come on, man. We got our rainbow bus stop. At the end of the turn, passively attack. That'd be good to feed our french fries too. But the zebras are already eating all of our french fries. The giraffe, when a token consumes it again. So does that mean our zebra is going to level up things twice as much with just 1 ingredient? Because that sounds pretty cool. Let's actually test it out. Even if that doesn't work, the giraffe has synergy with the sake and the bento we found earlier to double create tokens or double level up, getting a level 9 even easier. So our build is definitely coming together. Even if we're lacking damage at the moment, we make up for it in high level tokens and the option to pivot later on, especially with level 9 tokens down the road. The zebras are incredibly greedy though, and they just eat everything in sight. And ideally we need to save a broccoli and a steak to level up one of our tokens to 9, but the zebras make that very, very hard to do. Rather than waste it on the zebra, I'm more motivated to create something new and buff the cat. And we got our first steak here. Consume to trigger a token. Consume to buff a token by its attack. Trigger a token on command is very strong. We've got lots of ways to buff tokens right now, and not a lot of ways to use that buff. So hopefully we get some broccoli in the build later on. But we fed it to our bell, and now our cat is at least buffed once, because the zebra was going to eat it anyways. The zebras are making it very, very awkward sometimes. Ooh, we got some bacon. Practice a sport, attacks 2 more, or buff the next token. None of those really help us. We got the rhino. At the end of the turn, attack 4. The next time it consumes, it keeps the buff. That is very strong too. But it replaced our zebra. At the bamboo box, buffs buff an additional 1. That is okay. We still are looking for something that'll produce broccoli or steak for us. And there's the bacon that will trigger a trigger. So let's feed it to the zebra, and it didn't actually do anything. It must mean trigger an attack. But it did increase our cat's damage to 9. And we're so close to the 10 damage threshold that I wanted when we started. I also think it's time to finally make a giraffe, but I would like to take care of this pufferfish first. The weakness of our build is starting to show a bit, mainly our lack of damage. Our damage mainly comes from our 3 and 4, and when we can't create those tokens, we're gonna take some damage. And let's finally combine the 2 level 7s, create the giraffe, and test out if the zebra will level up 1 token twice, or 2 different tokens once. We've also got to deal with the snakes now. So the zebra leveled up 1 token, 1 time, and the giraffe had no effect on it. So that is very awkward and bad. It's still going to be affected by the sake and the bento box, so we can create 2 tokens or level up twice, if we're lucky enough to get that consumable again from the teal board. But as of right now, we can only make potatoes, and the tokens we really want to make require steak or broccoli. The next shop better be pretty good, because we need something to dig us out of our current hole. But we got some cheesecake, and it turned our Q token into the zebra. Interesting. But we got the gold, the hospital, and the clover. They seem to all care about destroyed effects. The clover's a buffer, but none of these actually help us in any way. We got the level 7 leopard. At the end of the turn, destroy an adjacent token to create a steak. That's going to be our steak outlet. The level 5 poodle. After you create anything apart from a potato, create a potato. I think we have plenty of potatoes in our lives, so let's take the leopard and get some steaks going. And that token put us in an odd position. At the end of the turn, he's going to consume one of the tokens around him, so he's either going to take out the level 8, or he's going to take out the dog, give us a steak, and we'll turn that level 8 into a level 9. So we got a 50-50 chance here to really make it big. And the leopard ate the dog, perfect. We also got another steak from the buffalo as well. So let's create the bento, upgrade the giraffe to level 9, and place 2 tokens around the leopard, hoping he won't eat our new level 9. And he ate the dog again, wow. Very, very lucky. So the satellite attacks for 5 every single turn, and he keeps every single buff that he ever gets. But he can be destroyed by the leopard, or the pufferfish as well. So we definitely want to try to protect it as much as we can. And then we can actually start to buff it as well. So we've got 3 tokens around the leopard again. And I should have combined the zebras to get rid of the leopard, but let's roll the dice one more time. And he hit the 1. So we've got godlike luck right now. We got rid of the leopard, and the only threat are the 3 pufferfish to our satellite. And now if we make a cat, we should be able to take most of them out in one big bang. We did 10 damage, there's still 1 pufferfish, and now we have to do 3 damage in 3 turns, and we have to get a level 1 token every single time. And we did, wow. We're incredibly lucky right now. So let's see what the shop actually has to offer. And we got a rainbow rooster. When he appears, create 2 random ingredients, and then improves this by 2. Where have you been my entire life, Mr. Rooster? That is such a good token. We also got a sake from the teal board, so let's use that on our satellite to create 2 more satellites from the giraffe. Man, that is so good. So now we have 3 level 9s. They're not the best level 9s because they automatically attack and will probably destroy themselves, but they do retain any buffs that we give them, so let's start buffing them up. Ooh, and the pufferfish, I don't think we can actually deal with this. I think we're gonna have to sacrifice some of our satellites here, because we can't make the cat fast enough. But looking back, the other two choices we could have made, I could have combined two level 9s together to get a random level 9. At least that's how I think it would have worked. But we could have gotten a satellite again too. I also could have combined two steaks together to create some bacon, feeding the cat directly to trigger it. Although I'm not too sad that I actually lost the satellites, because I don't think they're a very good token. Eventually they're going to destroy themselves, unless we're paying a lot of attention. We also have the rooster now. That'll give us steak, broccoli, potatoes, and we can start remaking the bento boxes fairly easy now. So we'll see a lot more level 9 tokens from here on out, especially since we still have the zebra to level them all up. But we got the Mother Nature. After 5 turns, buff all our tokens by 2. This is actually very nice for our current build. We've got the 1, the 3, and the 4 that all appear and do damage, so they'll take advantage of that buff damage. So now we want a better number 1 that probably has some multi-triggers. And we get a rainbow passive, the hand soap. Your tokens, not consumables, that kind of destroys us, buff by an extra 5. The rainstorm, at the end of the turn, count down all tokens by 4. That's going to really help our Mother Nature. And the smartphone really only cares about passives. We found a new level 1, the bike. When he appears, he'll attack twice. This is actually exactly what we wanted. The teal board also gave us the olive, improves a token by 1 attack, permanently. So let's use this on our bike here, because we're going to spawn the bikes probably the most often in the game. And now we doubled its damage from 2 to 4. So that's very nice. I definitely wish I knew how to make those tokens, but I imagine it's from the orange drink deck, so we probably don't have access to it. And we've got a couple issues now. There's lots and lots of things trying to destroy us, at least for the next 2 waves. But our biggest current issue is that the dog, the rooster, and even our passive is cluttering up the board. It made it very hard to get rid of the parasite here. Either sacrificing the dog, the zebra, or the level 9. And because we took too long, we actually lost our level 9 satellite here. So we probably should have sacked the dog, I guess. But I'm actually not too sad that I lost that one. I think the level 9 Mother Nature is a much better token. The bell arrives and does 15, the bike arrives and does 10, and the cat shows up and does 17 to all of the creatures. And that's just with one Mother Nature. After 4 turns it buffs all of our tokens, but with the rainstorm here, that removes 4 countdowns at the end of each turn. We basically get that buff every single turn, which is very powerful. The tokens we actually care about buffing are the ones outside the board and the ones in the queue. All of our damage is triggered by an arrive effect. We have to evolve them from the zebra, or put them in from the queue like the bicycle. And as far as I can tell, the buff doesn't carry on level to level, so if we turn a bicycle into a cat, it's going to use whatever the cat current's buff is outside the board, instead of adding the bike's buff, the bell's buff, all to the cat. Our damage has improved quite a bit, but it's going to have to improve even further if we want to survive wave 14 and 15. If we want to take on these squids, we're going to have to do around 90 damage within 1 turn, or else they heal to full. If we want to take out the boss, we're going to have to do around 400 damage within 2 or 3 turns, or the fireballs are going to get us. But currently we do probably around 50 damage, 70 to 80 if we're really lucky. So we could probably take out 1 squid, but if there was all 4 of them, we wouldn't have a chance. So let's see what the shop has to offer. The level 5 turkey, at the end of the turn, consumes or eat adjacent consumables and attacks for 3 each. That's very similar to the zebra here. We also got the rainbow bison. At the end of the turn, create 2 broccolis, and anything that's created that doesn't fit on the board buffs the board by 4. That's a pretty strong ability, but that sounds like a pretty good trade. We got rid of the tiger, who would destroy one of our tokens, putting us back in levels, and only give us 1 steak. But the bison doesn't destroy anything, gives us 2 broccoli, and buffs the entire board When we have overflow, which currently I don't think we can really use our board being buffed, but we can always find something down the road. We still got 4 shops left. We created a new level 9 and got the yoga teacher. At the end of the turn, awaken all exhausted tokens and practice a sport for each. Well, besides the bicycle, we don't actually have anything that exhausts. We did practice 3 sports, but when the bikes awoke, they didn't actually attack. So I'm not really sure how useful that token's really going to be. But the sports it gives us are going to be very useful. It's either going to double or triple our attack, or give us multiple triggers. But that means even a small buff from Mother Nature will have a big effect, scaling and then multiplying the damage. But currently we have 1 tennis, so our damage should be times 2. The cat appears and does 66, so its base damage was actually 33, which is pretty massive because it used to be around 17. The bike appears, does 46 damage with a base damage of 23, and it still actually has its buff. You can see it in the Q glowing. And I think maybe that's because it was set up for the Q, and that's why it retained its buff. But I have 2 theories. Either the zebra leveling up the token doesn't count as creating the token and taking away the buff when it attacks, or the Mother Nature is actually improving all of our tokens instead of buffing them, making the buff permanent, which I actually think makes the most sense, especially for the bicycle. We got the Comet to make level 9s, but we can already make level 9s, so we don't really need that. The Rainbow Stadium would give us a ton of sports, which would be very, very good, but we're kind of a food build, and these sports are very beneficial and very powerful, but I don't think we actually need them. We already have one way to generate some sports, and I think that little buff we get from them is all we really need. The game doesn't feel too hard or too easy at the moment. But let's create a cat here. Last time we did 33 damage, and now we're doing 39. So I think the theory actually makes sense, and we've improved the cat by 6. But let's drink the rum, pushing the cat to 40, and it gave us a free cricket as well. And going back to our passive choice, we probably could have gotten our cat up to 100, 150 if we'd chosen the cat augment instead of the buffalo. But the buffalo did carry us early on because our token selections early were super terrible. But for every consumption, the cat would treat it as something unique. And we've eaten so many things in this game, especially the zebras, as we keep leveling up our tokens over and over and over. So I think our cat could have been insane. But even at 150 damage, the little top hats from these alligators would have blocked the hit completely, and that would have been very sad. And if we fight the boss, if it's the same boss, we'd have to spawn 3 to 4 cats to take him out, which is good, but that's not great. So let's see what the shop has to offer, and we're mainly looking for the rainbows of something we already have. And that's none of these, and unfortunately we didn't get anything good, so we're kind of just stuck with our current build. And we've got 2 more shops, 2 more tries to get some more rainbows in the build. Let's make a bell. It does 39 damage, and let's actually kind of keep track of the damage here. The cat's up to 52 now. That's crazy. I'm just not quite sure why the damage is scaling so quickly sometimes. I know these sports has the ability to double it right away, but seeing a number twice as big is a bit more obvious. Our damage seems to be scaling around 5 to 15, just sort of sporadically. But it hasn't been that long since our last bell, and our new bell is doing 53 damage. And it actually turned a bicycle into a dog into a bell. So the only way that sort of makes sense is if it keeps the buff step by step, only when it's evolving. So that could be the reason our numbers are so high sometimes. And perhaps the Mother Nature is improving the bicycle level 1 sometimes as well, because that's the only way it can explain the level 1 token. But we kind of need 2 or 3 theories to make all of them work out. But the build is working, and I don't think I'm going to question it anymore. We also created a new level 9 token, the Terra, so it'll make our appear triggers trigger an additional time, which sounds like double damage, but in reality, it's another 5 to 2 damage. because the second trigger isn't buffed at all. But our bicycle is now up to 51 damage. And we got a cookie. Nice. We got the rainbow turkey, which is actually exactly the same as the regular turkey, and I think that's just a typo. We got the rainbow robin, which will buff the bell by 26, and that 26 is actually 78, because the bell attacks 3 times. But I don't think we even need it. We'd have to give up our level 2 dog, which has been with us from the start, and our bell is currently at 55 damage all on its own, times 3. So giving 26 more damage to it would be about a 50% improvement. But we just got to the squids. Let's make a bell. It only needs 2 of its 3 triggers to take it out. So the buff damage, the increase in damage, would only affect us on the final boss. So that would be 5 seconds of glory for 2 to 3 waves without our doggo friend. So I think we made the correct decision. We're now fighting the T-Rexes, the sharks, the squids. We used the bacon on our bike, and he actually did 0 damage because he had no buff to his attack. So that's actually pretty funny. And let's also make a cat, who's up to 73 damage now. I'm actually going to skip the next shop, because I like our build quite a bit. I think it's pretty fun, and it's pretty overpowered. And I'm still not sure if it's working properly or it's glitched out. But the teal board gave us a rum. We changed our cat to a bicycle with the use of the salad by mistake. But now we're set up for the final wave. 2 squids, 1 T-Rex. We created 1 cat who did 79 damage and a follow-up attack for 13. So it seems like we've eaten 13 unique things. The robin also buffed for 26, and I think he had a double buff as well. So 13 would make the most sense. The cookie will trigger and then destroy a token, so let's use it on the cat, leaving the squids with 1 HP, follow it up with the bike, which his first attack does 138 damage. It had been a while since we'd used the bike, and I think the buffs were just stacking higher and higher. We've got a T-Rex and a dragon, and we need to work our way towards the bell, I think. So let's clear out some of this food, so we can place some tokens down, and now we can make a dog, and combine the 2 dogs together to make a bell, which hopefully this will finish it. And it didn't. Our glory was stolen. But our current tokens are buffed up to 73, with the cat at 86. We need just 1 more trigger to finish off the dragon. So let's relocate the potatoes, slap down the bicycle, and we take out the dragon. Very, very nice. Well, I like the food build quite a bit. Creating different dishes with different effects is a lot of fun, and seeing the synergies just between the food creatures themselves was pretty cool. We unlocked the final deck, the science deck. Next time I'm going to be doing a challenge with some new enemies, but after that I'll be showing off the science deck and maybe going back to some challenges or just finding some interesting builds. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you later.